Hey folks, I know I got the air on and I'm just gonna leave it as it is. The other ones, I'll try to keep out, but this one is just kind of off the cuff. This is gonna be Unpopular Opinions 4, so I'm not gonna worry about it necessarily. This is just basically kind of an explanation and kind of some random thoughts and kind of going over what's gonna come up on the channel and everything else. Hopefully, if things don't work out. If so, then I do have little bit of a backup, not to say it's much, but anyway. So let me start with talking about the video series. So like I say, I'm gonna call it the basic outline of the Nation of Islam. Like I say, I know that's gonna make people mad. I mean, maybe it won't, maybe it won't, but it's like in general I think it's gonna tick people off. And I know people are going to be like, what are you doing, cracker? How dare you say this? And, maybe there will be report fags about it. Who knows? I don't know. Well, I'll upload it and at least see what y'all think. And if so, then maybe I'll private it and, be a coward. Who knows? But anyway, so I'm going to do that. I got the next video coming out for, which is going to be about, was Malcolm X a socialist? And to me, I'll be honest with you. I just use Wikipedia basically, and you can go ahead and be a hater and be like, "Oh, you shouldn't just use Wikipedia. You should use an actual source." When I get plenty of books, then I will. But nonetheless, I basically did that. Basically, that the idea that Malcolm X was some sort of third worldist, or a socialist, is just utterly ridiculous to me. It's utterly ridiculous. I don't get where the hell this comes from. Because, if you actually do a little bit of research, as I did, apart from him saying that he liked China, he wanted that for Africa. It's that simple. He did it for black people, for melanated people, for African people, whatever you want to say, the kings and queens. I mean, I'm not trying to be too prejudiced here, but I'm gonna go there. But it's like, he did it for black people. He was still, the thing is that people think that, he left the Nation of Islam, which was anti-Semitic and all this sorts of thing. You shouldn't dislike the Nation of Islam because they were just anti-Semitic. That you should do it because it became a business. That's why. And while I will say, for the black folks that do see this, and for the melanated people out there that do see this, however way you want to identify yourself as, or an African man, or female, man or woman. I'm sorry, I fucked that up. Oh well. But if you can see the Nation of Islam as a start, and I know that the phrase knowledge of self comes about, and I think that regardless of what you may think about the Nation of Islam, I'm going to hold more of a centrist view and say that the Nation of Islam has helped thousands, possibly millions of African diaspora. I'm using all the phrases now. I'm using all the trigger words, but it's like I'm using this while I'm using Cantonese opera. It's the most ironic thing. Oh well. Anyway, basically what I mean is that I see the Nation of Islam as something that has helped black folks. And while there have been many folks, whether it I could put a photo of Khalid Muhammad or whoever, but it's like it helped people. It helped people discover, people like Elijah Muhammad, regardless of how you feel about him. He did come up with, or at least someone wrote for him, the book, Eat to Live, and taught black folks that discipline. And I think that regardless, it's like they, I'm sure that they have their own faults or whatever, but then thank Elijah Muhammad for teaching black folks to not just be thugs or something like that, or just be the typical hustler and whatnot. It's like, I know that I've preached that kind of idea, that sort of hustlerism, this and that. Well, ultimately, that's just me being a coward. That's just me saying I don't want to join any political party. That's all that is, all right? I'll take mask off. I'll just say that's what it is. It's just me being a coward and saying I don't want to be a part of any political group because I just think all you motherfuckers are cringe. It doesn't matter if you're so-called, Wignat, or if you're a so-called Marxist-Leninist, or whatever the case may be. Let me give a perfect example of that, actually. That's a good segue into this clip here from Jason Unruh. This is going to be kind of long, so just bear with me. All right, hold on.
We want to promote global empathy. We want to keep up the MLM philosophy before we go by different tactics. I know my audience. There are many fellow Europeans that want to shake off the white lie. A true anti-colonial pan-Europeanism means to seek cooperation with Asia, Africa. White pride does not work. White guilt does not work. The contradictions of the first world, second world, third world, and fourth world indigenous natives throughout North America, Mexico, New Zealand, Australia, and Palestine is getting deeper. We must fight for change. Sakaiism is a distraction. It does not say anything about the Jews forced to move to Israel, USA, or Canada in any true context. Sakaists don't talk about the censored Jewish anti-Zionist minority. Are you going to scream settler and at fleeing immigrants? It is not even Jay Sakai's fault that Sakaiism is confusing third worldists and Maoists. It is the fault of white leftists that started RAIM. It is time that I mentioned that I knew the founding members of RAIM when it was reformulated, not the original one from way, way back when it was a part of the LLCO. I mean the ones that refounded it after it broke off under identity politics. I knew a lot of those people. We were friends for years. And I was willing to ask questions to the trans community. This was never allowed. Never mind the fact at the time trans people had been invited to RAIM, were very willing to answer any questions that I had, but the cis-white gatekeepers controlling RAIM told any trans person I came into contact with not to answer my questions. I asked questions to any marginalized group. Newsflash, most lumpen trans people are very happy to answer questions about their gender identity, and there is no unified standard. And many of the poorest trans people remain unhappy about this. As I have already stated, I cannot speak for trans people, but I believe the Black Internationalist can. If she's listening, you are beautiful, my friend. Your documentary about First World Lumpen is very good. The Black Internationalist can speak for the lumpen trans community, so she can speak for black people. She, like anyone genuine malice, is well versed in Frantz Fanon, making her worthy of understanding Jay Sakai in context. In closing, MRN has finally become resistance journalism in the bourgeois first world. I'm in contact with the lumpen in Arizona, one of my closest comrades. Yes, even one of my, like reliable people is comrade number 3 of the Navajo Nation. Me as a third worldist consider the systemic ongoing genocide against his people, the Native Americans, to be of the utmost importance. Anti-white politics has only made whitey stronger. Whiteness needs to be deconstructed and explained along with every other first world phenomenon. Not only can Black Red Guard explain Jay Sakai's book better than a Sakaiist, as he no doubt understands the work of Frantz Fanon, he can actually explain the Shining Path. Any attack on Black Red Guard on this particular subject is wrong. Any attack on the Black Internationalists on this part is wrong. From my point of view, she is a fellow Maoist. When the rad femmes and the trans comrades fight each other instead of the alt-right, this is incorrect. I cannot tolerate seeing the bigoted slurs of TERF and tranny in my comment section. Engage in
Okay, so I cut that off early, basically because I cut it wrong. But I'm just gonna leave it. We're gonna do it live. I know that gets old. It's an old meme, but it's like I'm just gonna do it that way. Anyway, so let me cut to the chase even more here. So I'm gonna put out that video. I'm gonna try to remember this. Hopefully I'll remember. I'm gonna do this one first. I'm gonna upload that, and then I'm gonna upload the other videos, which talk about kind of the. I'll just tell you. You know what? Let me just tell you what it's about. I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but I'll just tell you. So the first video I'm just going to call a basic introduction to the Nation of Islam, and I'm basically going to go over very briefly the history of the Nation of Islam and kind of, I try to somewhat balance it out. It's not necessarily balanced well, but in my view it's balanced. I also wanted to talk about Ismail Muhammad, who is primed to be the new leader of the Nation of Islam, who was one of sorry for the dead air there. For Elijah Muhammad's, he's one of Elijah Muhammad's illegitimate sons. But he's, like I said in the video, is that he trained in Mexico for 20 years. Was taught about the Bible, presumably the New Testament or the Old Testament and New Testament, and the Quran. So, just take it for what it is. The video about Malcolm X and being socialist, I basically talk about some of the aspects that, of what Malcolm X actually did, apart from what people think he did. I think that's important to say what he actually did versus, what people say he was about, which I think is much more important than, reality is better than, for people that are older anyway, reality is better than the myth, and the whole idea of what these folks are. So, at least that's my view of it. This is kind of getting long. This is already going on for 11 minutes. Okay, I'll try to cut it off pretty soon. But basically, I'm going to be doing that. Is there anything else I really wanted to talk about? Oh, yeah. I'll finish up a little bit about the Native Americans, or indigenous people, I'm sorry, that's a more proper term, in eastern Oklahoma. I want to talk about the fact that, for example, Duval, Oklahoma, just right there near the Texas-Oklahoma border there. And you got I'm trying to make sure I get the name right here. Comanche Nation Red River Casino and Hotel brings in $60 million a year. $60 million a year. And I heard from people like Vosh who are just like, oh, well, separation would be bad, horrible. No, what people will talk about is talk about confederation. Now, of course, these, the 5 tribes that exist, the Chickasaw, Comanche, Creek. Let's see, hold on, let me check right quick here. I should have prepared, but you know what? This is just basically just another live stream. I'm just uploading it like this. So let's see, 5 tribes of Oklahoma. Okay. So what are the 5 civilized tribes? Excuse me, that's how I've seen it. 5 civilized tribes. Okay. Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Those are the 5 tribes. Now, I was reading, and I could put links, I just don't feel like it. I'm just going to be lazy. But, there's basically, I've seen that the Comanche and the Chickasaw have had beef because basically, basically the Chickasaw were opening, I think, I want to say a WinStar Casino. Correct me on my information, but I think that they were trying to open a WinStar Casino, and basically, the Comanche Nation sued the U.S. Department of Interior and saying, hey, this tribe is getting in trouble with it. So there's a lot of this LARPing, a lot of this anti-colonialist type LARPing where it's just like, oh, well, get the hell off our land. It's like, in reality, once again, is that to a point, these tribes are a business. You have to realize that. These tribes are putting in, or making, like I say, $60 million a year from that casino, and from that one casino alone. Once again, if you live where I live, and you can narrow that down to 2 places if you really read between the lines. But basically, if you live where I live and you hear people talking about, I'm going across the river to, the casino, then that's where a lot of these old boomers go, because they have nothing else to do. And it's like that's their excitement. Even if they don't go to the casino that much, they can go see a show or they can go to the buffet or whatever the case may be. That's how you bring people in. Anyway, to a point that these tribes are a business. And I don't know anything necessarily about the Choctaw or the Seminole or even the Creek necessarily. But of course, as we saw with the Chickasaw and the Comanche, they're definitely part of the casino game in Oklahoma. So they're making money. Like I say, I'm going to go back to it one more time. But yeah, $60 million a year just in that one casino alone. So they got some clout, So I think it's not as easily as I made it appear in the another live stream that I did on another channel. But it's like, bruh, it's not some anti-colonialist type thing or some, oh, we're getting back at Whitey. It's not that easy. It's a business. I'm sorry, but yeah, we have to be able to separate these things. Even with the Nation of Islam, you can say that, Nation of Islam has done positive things, yeah, but it's still a business to a point as well. Once Gaddafi died in 2011, they had to get their money somehow. So instead, and I'm sure that, Louis Farrakhan and his accountants and everything else were up there thinking about it, and he saw an opportunity. And, he probably saw that maybe, things were going bad for Gaddafi, and he can feel as he wants to about Gaddafi. But he said, this whole signing up with the Scientology business, this can bring us some money. This can be as a way to, make ourselves legit here, so that we can keep, the money rolling in. You have to wonder, this is one of those things that, kind of gets my conspiracy theory brain going, but ultimately, I'm trying to side that with a little bit more pragmatism here, at least in my view, maybe not specifically the philosophical school of thought, but anyway, where, why is the Nation of Islam still around? It's been around, of course, like I say, since July 4th, 1930. Why is it still around? So that's a question you have to ask yourself, right? I think I've pretty much said my piece. Like I say, there isn't too much else going on. In general, people can talk about what's his face, the Lobert. I don't give a fuck, honestly. I really don't care about that. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed, at least, especially when I was getting real boring. Y'all could see the the guys doing the somersaults and everything else. The flips. So at least there was that. I hope y'all, So I think I'll keep it there. This is kind of a random video. Like I say, hopefully it's not too loud with the AC running. But you know what? With this, I don't care. It's too hot. I'm not going to go into too much detail what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'll keep it there. And I hope y'all enjoy those videos that should be uploaded by the time this is uploaded. So anyway, y'all have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye. I was gonna end it there, but you know what? Let me add some other stuff here at the end. The thing is, I was thinking about this, and I should have said it. I was too caught up on other things. The thing is that when people like Jason Unruh start talking about some pan-Europeanism type stuff, it just sounds like freaking LARP. It's just, I should have put this. Maybe I'll cut this around. I'll go ahead and put this at the beginning of that. I'll probably do that, so I'll cut this later on. But it's like, when I hear Jason Unruh talking about this whole business about, like, pan-Europeanism and we're all gonna get along, bruh, that ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't gonna happen in any realistic world. They're gonna have beef between each other. You think that African nations, and especially when you get a lot of these pro-blacks from the United States coming to Africa, you think they're gonna be like, yeah, we need to work with the white man? Man, they're not gonna be willing to do that. Same thing with the Palestinian struggle and all this pan-Europeanism. Get the hell out of here with your pan-Europeanism. I got, what, you're gonna try to be like an anti-colonial, a woke version of Francis Parker Yockey? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. Screw it. You know what? I'm gonna leave it in at the end. Anyway, I think I'll put that there, so this will be the real ending. Just for those that are tricked by that. I was like, I got you. Anyway. But, I think that's all I have to say on that. So, see you later, folks. Have a good rest of the day. And enjoy the rest of those new videos I'm going to be putting out. Bye-bye.